Engaging social media. Hey, this is John Chen. You are here with the Engaging Virtual Meeting podcast. Hey, if you're watching us online, make sure and subscribe, share, like, or comment. You make a comment here on the live show, we might actually give you a shout out. Wouldn't you like that? And if you want all the episodes here for Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast, go to engagingvirtualmeetings.online and get all the episodes plus a new episode every Wednesday. We just crossed over like 2,000 downloads. Thank you, everyone who has been checking out the podcast. And the cool part is watching the curve. It's like starting to accelerate now. Hey, if you don't already have a free ticket to the Engaging Conference, it'll be the last week of August. Go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/con. Get a free ticket so you can watch it either on YouTube or better yet, get a paid ticket and get inside of one of the events or show up live and get 4-camera video. 4-camera video for the first 50 people who sign up. Now, my guest today is a very special guest. The best part is we have been secretly meeting by not meeting, by being in the same proximity of each other. The names have been passing around in each of our spheres, but we haven't really met until now. And the best part about this, good, I'm making my guests laugh. And the best part about this is that we just pre-show met for like 15 minutes, and this is like, you know, the sister from another mister, right? So, all right, here we go. This guest, she's an empowering change maker, Emcee, Chief Experience Officer. Love that job title every day at DMP Creative LLC. This firm is committed to transforming events into catalysts for growth and impact. She has the Spark method, which I'm going to figure out. It's very close maybe to my Engaged method. And she is an amazing person involved in both the MPI, meaning Professional International World, and the National Speakers Association world. She has her CMP, a certified meeting professional, and a CED, which I'm not sure it is, but it doesn't matter. It's important. Make sure and say hello to our guest, Devon Montgomery Pasha.
Oh, I like the epic walking music. I'm putting my crown on a little straighter.
Oh yeah, here's the other one. Here's the funky walk-on music. This one I think is more you. Oh yeah!
I can't go back any further. Like my headphones were like, that's as far as you could go. No more dipping.
Well, we'll fix that. We'll help you get wireless headphones so Devon could be the real Devon.
Yeah, so it's like I'm restricted by technology.
Yeah, so Devon, this is actually one of the secrets here in the studio, right? Is that we can do this. Like we can actually walk around.
Oh, that's not fair.
That's
I'm
right.
like, how far could I go? I'm like, okay, this is the end of my tech limits, right?
Now, Devon
right
has actually never seen this camera too. So Devon, let me sorry, I'm trying not to steal your thunder, but I think you will love this. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Oh, hush.
So yes, you can actually see here, like, yeah, there she is above here. Yeah, this is a setup here for the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. So,
you know, it's the humble home studio. Got it off Amazon.
that's about 90% true. That's about 90%. Just shows that you can make cool stuff without having to like pay necessarily all the professional stuff, and you know all the professional stuff. So let's just let's do this, right? Because we have so much to share. Again, she's going to share an experience for those who have not been to PCMA. We're at the Professional Convention Management Association. She just returned from there and has some stories. But before we start, Devon, let's do this. For my friends who don't know you, take a moment to introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Well, hi everyone, and John, thank you so much. I know we've been in each other's orbit, but this is the first time we've gotten to collide in supernova and see what happens. So everyone, I am Devon Montgomery Pasha, again, certified meeting professional and CED, or certified event designer. I've been in the events industry for over 20 years now, which is hard because it makes you feel like really seasoned, but also like, I think I'm old now, which we'll talk about PCMA in just a second. That's a story. It's going to go somewhere. I am originally a Philly girl, West Philadelphia, born and raised. That is not a lie. Will Smith and I would have gone to the same high school if I hadn't gone to a regional school. Live in South Texas right now with my co-parent, dog, and my beautiful daughter who's about to turn 7 any minute, which also makes me feel old. I've been a proud member of the events industry, what I feel like is for my whole life. I feel like I was born into it. I got genetically engineered to be in it. And now my favorite thing to do is to utilize my skills as a meeting professional, as an event designer, to bring strategy, love, and effectiveness The way I like to boil it down is, people say MC or speaker or host, and that can mean a lot of things. But when you really boil it down, I'm an engagement engineer. My job is to understand how all the pieces go together and to be utilized as a tool to create engagement backstage and on stage. So, engagement engineer, MC, chief experience officer, and delighted to be a member of I think, the best industry in the world, John.
Best industry of the world. You already hit all my heartstrings there, right? As an engagement engineer, and I really feel, yeah, I feel that we're also time architects because we were just
Mm,
talking about. Devin was recently getting a chance to oversee like a conference and trying to balance a conference with all its elements, like one-on-ones, right? Big keynotes, breakouts, right? Networking, musical performances, entertainment, and balancing all those into the right mix is really important. It's like chef shows, right? Like if
yeah.
the meal's not balanced, it doesn't taste right. And when a conference is not balanced, you're either exhausted or bored or something else,
Or
right?
something in between, right? And it's always trying to find that sweet spot, but to find that sweet spot for 8,000 people who have completely different wants and needs.
And that's the key too. It's if you
Hmm.
really hit the inclusionary part, you have to get wildly different people. From
Yeah.
let's just pretend like there are some dimensions, like introvert extrovert is one dimension, and
Hmm.
you have to find let people find their own place in a conference, especially if they've never been there too. Like their first time
Yes.
experience is something that's really important, right?
Absolutely. And to be fair, this was actually my first PCMA convening leader. So I went in as a bit of a newbie. I've been to IMEX a few times, MPI, World Education Congress. And so I've had, a lot of different perspectives, but I was delighted to be able to speak at and facilitated training at PCMA CL in my almost backyard of Houston. It's about an hour flight away. And I have to say, Houston really pulled out all the stops. There was a great theme woven throughout. So I love a good theme.
Yeah.
So to be woven into content, into storytelling, into visuals that everyone could steal from without it being like over the top or cheesy. So very elegantly done theme, a lot with Houston and the space and stars and evolve and find your orbit, go beyond your orbit. That was a lot of the theme. Um, but yeah, it was really interesting to see what the show wants to be to its main attendee group and how they use the theme, how they plan their days, when and how they time certain things. It was really lovely. Also going as a speaker, but not as an exhibitor, to actually
Yeah.
have some autonomy to walk around, to connect, to
Yeah.
take meetings, to take meals, to take breaks. And again, I thought it was really beautifully done, and the quality and caliber of speakers was really beyond. Not to use the pun, but it was pretty impressive.
Well, let's talk about that. There was a keynote speaker and a musical performance that rocked your world, and I would love
Totally
to
rocked.
share some of those factors that rocked you. Go ahead.
So I was telling John I'm a newly minted 40-year-old, just turned 40 at the end of last year, and that was a really pivotal year for me. And I don't put a lot of stake in numbers. I mean, age is just a number. January 1st is just a day. But from something for me in the way I had been evolving over the past couple of years, my 40th birthday was pivotal for me in wanting to get into a new decade as authentically as possible. So 40 was a really nice sort of finishing of an evolution and starting a new one. And as a newly minted 40-year-old going to a conference, you want to balance education and joy. And on both ends of that spectrum, again, as a 40-year-old who came of age during the alternative rock generation, Brene Brown was one of the first keynote speakers. Yeah, I fangirled, and I like my friend and I were like first persons in line, as close as we could get. I had my a friend of mine said he had his Otter AI out the whole time to try to like get as much transcript, and I was as rapid fire texting to myself as I could in my notes app because every 30 seconds she just had these beautiful, beautiful nuggets of just the truth bombs and like that like were so obvious it needed to be said. And I laughed and I cried. I mean, she moved me to tears more than once. She is so raw and so real. From a personal perspective, I thought that there were some things that were very appropriate to me in my personal journey, but also for our industry. Say it again. Oh, John, I lost your audio.
Oh, look at that! Even I
There
can
you
get
go.
caught on mute. 54,000 hours in practice later. Is that one of the things that I talk about engagement? is the authenticity, right? So
Oh
things that
yeah,
I think meeting professionals should now look at when they're choosing either speakers or presenters or whatever, is that now often authenticity trumps perfection. Do you know what I
for
mean?
sure. Yeah, sure. And I will say the first opening speaker, so Scott Galloway was our very first opening keynote. He was keynote on Sunday night. And he goes, look, I curse a lot. That's how I talk. And he was like, I tell you the same thing I tell my freshmen. He's like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to give it to you real. And if you can't handle that, call your mommy to come pick you up because you're not ready for college. And I was like, yeah, dude, let's go. Let's go. Let's be real. Because this is how we talk, right? This is I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to talk to you. This is how I talk. This is a language that I use to be expressive. I don't do it to be rude, evocative,
Right.
or like I don't mean to be offensive. It's just this is part of my vernacular. And Brene Brown said it much the same thing. She said, listen, guys, please don't film me. She's like, I know some of you are because you want to remember. It's like, but don't film me and don't post it. She's like, just don't post it because I want to be here and be real. Like she's like, I'm a fifth generation Texan. I'm gonna come at you. I'm gonna drop some truth bombs. She's like, just don't post that because I don't want to feel like I have to be polished if for polished outgoing content when I'm just trying to be here with you. And
Wow,
I'm
that's a
like,
cool
thank
speaker
you.
agreement. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
like
really
that's
cool
like,
speaker agreement.
and it's not like we couldn't bring on our phones. It didn't say anywhere you can't record it, but she was like, just do me a favor. I know you want to remember a lot of what I'm saying, but like, just don't post it, please. Like, post a picture is fine, but this is for you, and I'm being here for you. So I do have a lot of video, but it was, my mom introduced me to Brene Brown. So of course,
Yeah.
as a mom, there's like this generational thing, like, mom, I'm so cool. But also all my other friends in my age group, like we all also love her, and again, it's for different reasons and different parts of our journey. So
Yeah.
that was the first part. And I really felt very inspired and really just very privileged to have had that experience, and I took a lot from that. And again, like I said, I was moved to tears more than once. I'm a very emotional person. I'm very proud to be an emotional person.
Mhm.
And the fact that a keynote could move me was very real and very raw and very evocative. And I know you and I both agree that the more emotional
Yeah.
you can be, the more raw, the more real, that memory will be anchored harder, longer, stronger, and better for me than the most polished keynote in the world. If you don't make me feel anything, what could I possibly remember?
Yeah.
So that
Here's
was, yeah.
well, I have a quote that's like
Okay.
that, and it says, my personal quote is, your emotions are like the GPS for your life.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that is that when you are happy or emotional like you were, it says, this is what I like and I want more of it in my life. Right.
exactly.
And if your emotions are angry or sad or disengaged or whatever it is, you're like, I don't
No,
need that.
I want to go this way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I'm
go a
out.
different direction, right?
I'm
Yeah.
probably going to get up anyways too. I'm going to take action because I own my own experience. I'm going to get up and leave. So, that's
Yeah.
as an experience creator too. I do look for that. I actually look for speakers who can move me emotionally because if they can move me too, because I've seen like thousands, you too, right? You've seen
Yeah.
thousands of speakers, and when someone can do that and do it pretty predictably and reliably, but still, it's improv. Like she was saying things that she would not normally say because of the audience. Then
Right.
you have like that's a great experience.
And to be able to say, and they also both had a way to say, like, this is my message. Like, I want to leave you with this. And I'm not going to answer that question, but I want to have a chance to say, like, this is what's important to me. And
Yeah.
I'm going to use this opportunity to share what's important to me. And Scott had said something. He's like, hey, listen, like, since the pandemic, I've donated most of my speaking fees because, like, I mean, he's like, I make plenty of money. And so when I get paid to speak, I donate it to charities that are important to him. And he's big on
Oh.
helping young men have lower suicide rates, be more engaged, be able to connect back with the world, to be able to take mentorship. And he's like, to date, I've donated almost $18 million worth of,
18 million?
yeah, he said $18
Oh,
million worth of money that he's been able to donate as a result of, like it does, like, not that money isn't valuable to him, but what's valuable to him is being of service.
yeah.
And and
Yep.
to get something from something that's just very natural to him, says, I'm going to use it to be of service. And that is the exchange that he finds value in.
That's an amazing side hustle.
Yeah.
I also, speaking of which, of engaging people, I want to give a shout out to my good friend Artrell Williams. Artrell Williams is an amazing learning designer who
Oh,
specializes in gamification. He's watching on LinkedIn Live. Thank you for joining us. Now,
oh,
let's talk about.
gamification. We could talk later. It's like
Ah!
if that's not one of the best like post-pandemic buzzwords ever, and you're like, tell me more. It's like we brought balloons. It's gamified. I'm not sorry. I'm not Arturo. I'm not taking away from your work, but
No.
it's great because gamification means joy. You're a joy engineer. You're sprinkling joy back into something that we don't bring joy to. So welcome and thank you for joining us live.
Fun fact, Devin, I was one of the first to gamify, and for 4 years gamified WEC pre-pandemic.
Ooh.
So yeah, we were
I
doing
like John just keeps giving me his like merit badges of awesome. He was like, I was the first person to do this, and I earned this cool merit badge, and I gamified this, and like I was the first person to do breakdancing. And I'm like, I need a sash for you now so we can get all your merit badges.
I'm a 17-year MPI member. We were the first to sign the code. The code is, the anti-sex
Yeah.
trafficking. Our Washington State chapter was the first MPI chapter to sign the code. So, we're allies. We're out here. We're trying to, save a good portion of that industry. So it
Good
is
job.
that sash, right? If that's a sash, I'll wear that one. I'll wear that one every single day.
You know what? I think I just discovered your next WEC meeting thing, and now you can start
What's that?
trading them. Like 15 pieces of flair meets Girl Scouts, and then
Oh, it's like meets Disneyland. Right? Have you ever been
oh,
to
meets
Disney
Disney,
World?
meets Taylor Swift, and we're gonna like trade them. Guys, I'm captioning. This is my idea. John and I, we came up with this. This is our
Sash,
idea now.
sash, sash,
It's
sash.
it's gonna happen.
Sash.
But you'd asked another question about being evocative by two speakers.
Yeah.
So that was sort of how it started my experience. I was able to give a fantastic training on something I'm very passionate about. It was a really great way to start my time off. Scott Galloway being real, and then to start our first full morning with Brene Brown really just put me in a beautiful space. And so the next
Mm.
2 days were just a beautiful blur of wins and positivity and connections. And it ended with their closing receptions at Dicom Park, and the headline entertainment was Gwen Stefani.
Uh,
Yeah,
Love Gwen Stefani. Also, too, I was a punk rock fan and also in the ska, right? So a lot.
yes,
I was
yeah.
a fan of ska, and actually, my college roommate is still playing in a ska band where one of their songs got on an MTV Big Brother video.
There you go. I mean, like Scott, like it was just such a vibe, right? Like alternative rock, that kind of like good, the
Yeah.
horns, like
Mm.
Clueless soundtrack. Like it was the music of a certain part of a generation, of which I was most of my transformative teenage years. Also, I think like Gwen, in a way, kind of starting that 90s, 2000s revolution of like power female frontliners,
Mhm.
and to have these like gorgeous female frontliners, and Courtney Love and um, oh my God, the girl from Garbage, whose name I can't forget. I apologize. But what I'm talking about is like we had power female singers who had guys in the band, but they weren't the backup. They were the idol. So of course she comes out on stage, and I am
Wait, I
transported.
got to help
Yeah,
you out. Right, this is when the internet is so good.
thank you, internet.
Shirley Manson.
Thank you. That was a good. Oh man, I loved
Right.
her. There were
Ding.
some
Okay.
good. There were some good. I mean, like those were like good, but also like when you talk about like lyrics, it was like this is what I'm going through. I am an angsty teenage girl. I have feelings. I want to be angry. I want to break up with you. I don't want to be sad. Like it was just so empowering. They just had so much empowering time.
Mm.
Like I'm Just a Girl was an anthem for a whole. It's like yes, like I feel so seen right now. And she said before she sang that song, like just
Yeah.
a girl growing up in Anaheim, just trying to figure it out. And this is how I felt. And I'm like, that's how I felt. Like, that's how I felt. And so she's up on this stage. And I was telling John earlier, like, I was immediately transported back to my teenage girl self. And I sang every song at the top of my lungs, and I cheered and I danced. And of course, I woke up next day remembering, oh, yeah, by the way, Queen, you are 40 and your voice is a little gone because you didn't work on the instrument, you didn't stretch, you didn't vocally stretch ahead of time. Your knees hurt because you're not supposed to bounce on them anymore after being in the industry for 20 plus years and not sitting down in your 20s. Yeah, your face is puffy because you didn't like moisturize and hydrate at the same time. You're 40. Good morning. Yeah.
That's a title of a
But
book right there. I
you're
think you're that right there. Hold on to that, right? Good,
this morning.
good morning. You're 40.
Good
Yeah, there you
morning.
go.
But at the same time, this one conference was able to evoke so much emotion from two completely different parts of how I identify. And and I just went home smiling. And I have all these pictures. I actually FaceTimed a girlfriend of mine. I was like, I just want you to experience this with me. So I had my phone up, and she and I were FaceTiming so she could hear the song too, because it's like it was such a great experience. I couldn't help but want to share it live with someone versus just going back at some point I remember I was taking a lot of videos and so I'm like, oh, this is great content. And I just put my phone down. I was like, I shared this great song with my girlfriend. I put down, and then the rest of the concert, I just sat there and watched and I sang and I danced and drank my water. But I was like, I get to be here.
Yes.
And at some point she turned around and she said, is it true that this is one of the largest international like connections of like meeting professionals in the world? And she was like, and you guys invited me? Like I get to be here with you?
Oh,
Oh, she
oh,
was like, that's awesome. And I was like, thank you for knowing why you're here. Thank you for knowing your stakeholders. Thank you for acknowledging why we're here to see you. And it wasn't just like, what's up, Houston? And like, yeah, it was, but she was like, PCMA 25. And we're like, yeah, because that's how we're identifying. We happen to be in Houston, but she kept kind of bringing it back to who we were, why we were there, stopping. She's like, hey guys, put your phone down. I want to see your eyebrows. I want to see your eyes. The energy is great. And you're just like, yes. So anyway, these like massive moments of connection really engaged with me as one out of, and I guess we'll get the number soon, 7,000 people
wow.
on so many different places. I was touched in
Wow.
a professional place, in a personal place. That sounds a little weird. I was emotionally engaged across my spectrum of, being a woman, of being a member of our industry, of being, a teen at that right age, of being someone who wants to be inspired, of being able to do great business, of being able to feel part of this community in many different ways, of being fed in different ways that engaged me. Like it was to having wellness options that engaged me in how I wanted to participate, what wellness looks like for me, what does health look like for me. Yeah, so all in all, I have to say, like, it was a great experience to see finally as just a participant, all those ways in which one closed unit can engage you. I mean, across all of your identities and all the way that you want to be connected with, not just like, hi, you're a meeting planner and here's some education. Like they really like, thought of you as a 360 entity.
Wow. You know, when you do get star talent, I know there was the recent Jason Sudeikis didn't show up and then he got caught on a picture at a WNBA final game.
Yeah, I heard he went to see Caitlin Clark or something. Like it was
Yeah.
one of her finals. He needed to go. Yeah.
That's the inverse, right? And then I get to share this one. So this is the other kind of fangirl moment. I got a
Oh,
chance to see this artist in a private concert, right, for a celebration for a company here in Seattle. And when she walks in, it's friggin' Katy Perry in a private concert, right? And like things that I
awesome.
learned during that Perry concert is this. Well, one, we gambled, which is that during the break, a lot of people leave to go get a drink. We went to the front.
Ah,
We didn't care who it was. Like if they suck and we're in the front, well, then we can go back. But you
yeah.
can't go the other way. So that was one. And then when Katy Perry came out, we're like, oh, so we had a front row. You know when they had the catwalk,
Yeah.
middle center catwalk. And what I learned too was that when Katy Perry looks at you, like she looks into your soul,
Yeah.
and that's an amazing skill to have. And then the last part is that this was for a company that makes cancer drugs, and so earlier in the program they had celebrated a family, a gentleman who had taken the drug. He's one of the early people who took the drugs, and now he's cancer free.
That's awesome.
And she made a shout out from the stage. She sang a song
Yes.
to that family, and then the other one is when she asked the bodyguard or the people who were the security in the front, say, "Here, help me off the stage." Helps her off the stage and stands on the barrier, right?
Yeah. Where the blue pylon is. Yeah.
Yeah. She sits on the barrier and she goes, "I've been noticing you all night long." And she starts talking to this woman over here, and she goes, "I've been seeing you mouth every single lyric, right? Who are you? Blah blah blah, right?" And he goes, "Will you sing the next song with me?"
Love that.
And the song, of course, is "I kissed a girl and I
Oh my.
wanted to." So what I'm trying to say is
Also
that
an anthem for confused teenage girls everywhere,
yeah,
right?
right. There's a percentage of out there, and so right, and so yeah, so that's a hit. And what I'm trying to get at is that when you hire the right corporate entertainment and they you want to hit the classy range, even for you as a speaker, if you do
Yeah.
the homework beforehand and you customize this part, then you can reach out and connect to this organization, and instead of just showing up collecting the money, right, and saying hello.
Yeah. And I think I'm like like to say you just hit the nail on the head. And,
Mm.
I know when you and I talked about like what makes an engaging meeting, what makes an engaging hybrid or a virtual meeting, where does that come from? As a professional speaker, as a professional MC and keynote, like I say, I'm an, experience engineer, engagement engineering, all that comes from being on stage in some way. But if I get up there and I read a script that's been prepared that I'm not familiar with, I'm an actress, right? My job is to read words with some sort of emotion. But you all know, like you've seen people on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, and like they give actors like, can you read this scene from another movie, but like in a different voice or in a different accent? Favorite plug is when the Downton Abbey people did a scene, but he gave them all different accents, like like Valley Girl and like like it was great. Like, oh my God, Papa, like. But again, it changes its meaning based on who's reading it, what voice they're reading it in. If there is no context, if there is no connection,
Right.
then it's just words. A great MC or host, I mean, like, again, pick the word that you like. A lot of us use them in different terminologies. When you're talking about engaging a professional, whether that's in a virtual setting or an in-person setting or a hybrid setting,
Yeah.
what you're doing and what that person should be doing as a consummate professional is to engage with you to say, hey, tell me about you.
Yes.
Give me some context. Actually, Brene said this too. She's like, I need the 5 C's. I need the context. I need the color. I need the consequences if this doesn't go right. The more of those 5 C's that I have, the more we can connect, the more I can start to understand and have the ability to ask questions. And you can't be challenged by questions, friends. Questions are essential for
Mhm.
context, for understanding, because what you might think you want is not actually what you need. So I might suggest as an event designer and strategist when we're having our pre-calls,
Yeah.
say, well, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. Because it seems like you have a lot of these great keynotes and a lot of like one-way education, but what you're telling me is people have been saying is that they don't have enough time to connect. Well, if you put them in keynotes all day, when are you giving them that time? When are you giving them a breakout? When are you breaking them into groups? How can I reach across and say, oh, hey, John, did you like, if it's just keynote coffee,
You're right.
you're
Right.
not giving them what they're saying they need for the event to be successful. Can I make some suggestions? Is there a way that I can come on stage as the MC and host in between to create content validation so that we can learn and give content back out? We can give little prizes out, like here's some paydays, like, yeah, you got
Yeah.
that, here for you, here's for you. You know, or like we're going to have a quick lightning round of session content, etc. Like if you need content validation, or I need everyone to find 3 people that you are going to have to do, like the group that does the first gamification. Hi, Arturo. How are you doing that? But how are you getting them to come together around knowledge share, around skill share, around attitude about what just happened? And
Yeah.
are you giving people enough time even for that knowledge to sink in? This is what I do. This is what great professionals do, is we come and we ask these questions to understand
Yeah.
what how do we come into alignment with you on what that event has to do to be successful, but not just from your perspective. I want to know what success looks like from their perspective. What do they need out of the event? And then how do I become the catalyst to create that ongoing engagement to ensure that the experience throughout, and that could mean walking the whole floor before people walk in the room. Hey, it's nice to meet you. Hey, welcome. Was this your first time? Oh my God, mine too. Let's create some connection. And then when they see me on stage, they're like, oh, I met her.
Right.
Oh my God, she was like, oh, I met her. And all of a sudden there's now this positive association. I come back later in the afternoon. It's like, oh, there she is again. I know something's going to happen. I start to associate her positively with engagement, with emotion, with how the story and experience of this day is going to go. If I do roving reporting and like, catch you on like, hey, John, can you come over here for a quick second? I'd love to ask you a question about your experience. We put a mic
Right.
on you really quick and we ask you some real deal questions.
Yeah.
If I go out later and I'm at the gala dinner and I'm like, thank you all, wasn't this a beautiful day? Did everyone see that? Oh my God, how funny is it when like that cat randomly ran across the stage? You become that storyteller that now we're all sharing a story together. And
Yeah.
I can use that to continue to engage. And by the time we've gotten to the gala dinner, it's like, I'm just delighted to be here to celebrate these achievements. I'm delighted to be here to help continue to celebrate your goals, this person, how wonderful it is to do that. And having been woven throughout, what you start to see is someone who you associate with positivity, engagement, and connection.
So the
And
key,
that's where we come in.
a lot of the keys I've been sharing with other speakers who want to be more engaging is that engagement starts way before you get on that stage.
Hours and
Way.
hours, hours and
Hours.
hours.
Could be
Yeah,
months if you want
days,
to do it.
months,
Yeah,
yeah.
months.
And that's and the bigger the event, the more it should be. Like people should think when I get up on that stage that I'm the employee they just haven't met yet.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
oh, what department
Exactly.
was she in? Like, how does she know? Like, what? Like, it should be seamless. That's how integrated we should be. Oftentimes, when we get asked questions like, "Well, why would I hire you?" Like Bob from accounting, and I apologize to any Bobs in accounting. It is a very generic example. Bob from accounting, I'm sure you're an amazing human being, and I bet you are actually a pretty great MC. I apologize for a blanket reference. But I do hear oftentimes that so and so from so and so department, in my mind, it's Bob from accounting, might know that, but is he a professional? Does he know how to strategize? Does he know how to MacGyver a situation when things go wrong? What is he going to do when the mics go out? What is he going to do if there's a medical emergency in the room? What is he
Right.
going to do if the mics go out on stage, but the virtual live stream is still going?
The
Like you
improv.
have to be able to put all of this expertise together. And
Right.
oftentimes when something hard is happening, you don't want to put someone who's actually on your payroll in harm's way of attitude harm.
Right.
um I heard a story recently that one of the speakers had like a tied on top and it had started to undo. And she was talking and kind of moving and didn't was aware that it was starting to go. And the event organizers are like in the back of the room and they didn't want to call attention to it, but wanted to rectify it. And the professional MC saw what was going on, got a lay of the land, and again, didn't want to draw attention to it so it was obvious, found the exact second when they went to video, walked on stage like intentionally and pulled the speaker aside and very subtly fixed up. But
That's
again,
that's a
that's
pro.
that's a skill. That's a pro.
That's a
That's
pro.
I had another person. I was like, well, why would I pay you? Like, why is this a service? I'm like, the money that you're paying has nothing really to do with what we're saying on stage.
Yeah.
The money that you invest in a professional is the same reason why you'd invest in a professional caterer versus a home cook, and a professional AV versus a guy who got some cameras and watched a YouTube video. Not that he can't become a professional or she can't become a professional, but we've been trained, we have expertise, we have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours perfecting a craft. So you get 20 minutes of excellence
Yeah.
and have so much knowledge that we can problem solve on the fly. That's
Yeah.
what you're paying for. If we're the first person that your attendees see and
Yes.
communicate with and connect with,
Yeah. Yeah.
why are we oftentimes the last person to even think of hiring, or worse yet, don't even consider adding to the Rolodex of professionals that you feel are essential to have that event be successful?
Well, one of the stats for hybrid meetings is that 80% of hybrid meetings do not have a virtual MC, and that is a mistake.
It is a
Artrell
mistake.
too wants to say, "Hey, great vibes, Devon. I just want to let you know that." All right, can you give me the
Like a good
2 minute?
vibe.
That's right. Can you give me the 2 minute Spark version? I would love to hear your Spark
Okay.
methodology in 2 minutes or less. That's the challenge.
2 minutes or less. So I've been trying to find a way to boil down that value that I talked about, and so what has become also a brand for me is people for some reason associate me with the color red. Whether that's for fierceness, for warmth, for power, for energy. I did a brand survey and they said red. So I wanted something that showed that warmth and that delight and that positivity and that ignition. So I came up with Spark. So Spark for me is understanding how it breaks down to the work that I do. So Spark is about strategic vision, bringing strong focus and big picture and using my event strategy behind crafting experiences. It's about purposeful connections. John, I'm all about connections. So I want to forge relationships with audiences and clients. And how do I make those both purposeful and how do I join them together? Action. So about action-oriented design, and clearly not a shine, retire, and wallflower. So I want to act as that catalyst, like I said, to bring things together, to guide teams towards actionable steps, both for success of the event and guide attendees towards actionable steps for their own event success. Relationships and relationship
Mhm.
amplifier. Again, sort of distance between two people is a story. I want to be a storyteller. So as a relationship amplifier, I enhance ROI by building rapport, creating that trust that we talked about, that visibility, that psychological safety, and fostering those genuine connections. and kinetic energy. Clearly, I don't sit still. It's part of my brand, it's part of who I am. Sort of sparking that warmth and connection means being kinetic, means bringing some of that energy. And I like to infuse all of the events that I work on for clients with this energy. I say this is what you get every time. I never give anything less than my best. And being able to bring that energy and passion to light up the stages that I get to be on, virtual or in person. And then inspiring audiences to act. Where did you want them to go? What did you want them to learn? What skills did you want them to take away? Who did you want them to meet? And using that energy. So that is Spark.
Oh my God, look at that. 13 seconds on the clock. All right, genius.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, yes. What I should be doing this part. Okay, here we go. Ready? Turn, turn, swish, swish, wave, wave.
Oh no, do you know the debutante wave? I got it. So it's elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist, touch your brooch, reach, touch your brooch, reach. Now y'all know the debutante wave.
Okay, we're now to this portion of the program called Speed Round.
Woo!
So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. You have to answer them as fast as possible.
Okay.
And I'll make a bunch of funny noises while we do that. Are you ready, Devon?
Totes ready. Totes my goats. Let's roll.
Okay, here we go. What's the favorite theme for an event?
Food related.
Ooh. What's your favorite city, not yours, that you like to meet in?
Seattle, Washington.
Oh, no brainer. Who is one of your fangirl crushes you haven't talked about yet?
Oh gosh. I have to pass on that one. There's too many.
Best Brene Brown quote.
If you don't do vulnerability, vulnerability will do you.
Oh, that's good.
And bonus one, everyone who plays downstream needs to be associated with conversations upstream. That one's like really important. Yeah.
What do you respect most about Gwen Stefani?
I respect her authenticity to choose joy. I respect her authenticity as a mom. And I respect that even as a 55-year-old woman, she still acts like that girl who got up on stage in that like West Coast punk plaid and said, screw it. And then she's like, and also, by the way, listen, I need to take it down a notch because I'm tired. So I'm drinking some water. We're having chitty chat while I catch my breath. And I'm like, yes, be real. So authentic and on brand.
Right. Oh, there we go. Best curse word replacement.
Fudge monkey.
That's pretty good. All right, let's see. Meeting planner you want to give a shout out to?
Recently I got to give a shout out to the PCMA team. Tammy Moore from PCMA. I really thought that was exemplary, and how you thought through keynotes that weren't just name grabbers, which I think is sometimes an association, but how each one actually had something to do with the theme of the day, which if you looked subtly was very well woven. So shout out to Tammy and of course the entire execution team at PCMA.
There we go. The title of a story you can't share because we're out of time.
Ask me about my butterflies.
Now I got something for next one. And the last one is your engagement secret tip you're willing to share on this podcast.
My engagement secret tip is make sure that you can find the shortest distance between two people. And oftentimes that means finding a way to tell a good story. Stories are our first form of communication. It is the shortest distance between someone's emotional and psychological and safe self. So find a way to tell the stories in a way that gets them brought into it so they want to see it naturally to the end. Be a storyteller.
Wow! Ladies and gentlemen, all people of all types and shapes and forms. We've been spending time here with Devon Montgomery Pasha. Devon, all your contact info, just go click the link, go check out Devon's work. And if you are in Seattle, she's going to be at the Northwest Event Show in April. Shout out to Stuart Butler.
See me. Guys, Northwest Event Show, tickets are on sale. It is really a spectacular program. Speaks to the local, speaks to the global, and it's really taken a cool vibe kind of towards that. If North by Northwest were a thing, like I think this is where you're going to find it. And I just love to see such a beautiful, unique city represented so well in terms of speaking about business. So come see me at the Northwest Event Show. I will be on site reporting, emceeing. I will also be hosting some panels, and just come hang out because it's a beautiful show and a beautiful place. I want to thank John and NSA for having me and for being such a welcoming organization. NSA really open arms to people who want to make their voice their weapon and their tool for success. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Devon.
Now I
All
gotta think
right.
about who I want to fangirl about though. I'm like, there's too many. I don't know.
We'll bring you back for the other.
Okay.
Then she's gonna think about it. She goes, "Wow, they asked me a question I didn't know." And now you're gonna think about it for like a week.
All day. All day.
All
I'm gonna
right.
text you at
Well,
3 a.m.
we've been visiting with Devon Montgomery Pasha, and she just said this: the shortest path between two people is a story. And my question for you, if you're listening to this podcast now, is, what's your story, and how are you gonna share it? Speaking of story. If you are here on social media, make sure to subscribe, share, like, and comment like my good friend Artrell has been doing all through the show. Thank you for all the comments. You want all the episodes, you want all the feels like Devon here. Find all the amazing people that I get a chance to talk with on engagingvirtualmeetings.online. If you don't have a ticket to my conference, get one. It's in the last week of October. And if you want to be like Devon, go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/meet, select interview, and you could be the next person as the guest here on the Engaging Virtual Meetings podcast. We will see you later when I tell you a story so that we become closer. I'll see you next time.
Always start people and keep